Hey everybody, welcome to a special call. Not a crisis call. I don't want to call it that, but we are. But it's going to be a weird one. I'm Alex Machina. In case you don't know me, I'm the associate publisher at Manward Press, and then we have obviously with us Andy Snyder, the founder of all things Manward.
Hey.
Um,
So it's kind of fun to be doing this from my home. So welcome everybody to Manward's coronavirus HQ, I guess. Got a lot
yeah,
going here.
Yeah, we have a peek at the command center. Here it is. It's going to be a weird call. Sorry for the delays that are coming through, but it's weird times right now. We're doing this call because we obviously know that you have a lot of questions. We have a lot of questions about what's going on. That's why we're getting everybody from both Codebreaker Profits and Alpha Money Flow onto the same call so we can kind of address some of those concerns. Check in with readers. We had a couple emails that I want to highlight and really just kind of get to the core of where things are. It's been a weird week. We just got out of the fastest and sharpest decline in market history, followed by the biggest single day increase in value for the Dow. Who knows what's happening next? Andy, did you have anything else before I dig into the mailbag here?
No, just that we're recording this, early on. It's early Wednesday morning. Hopefully, we'll get this to readers as soon as possible. Right now, I've been watching the futures all morning. They were down, then they were up, then they were down. Now they're back up, and we're just off the heels of the stimulus. So I'm excited to see where today goes, but we'll get into that for sure.
So, I mean, the picture for Boeing is. I mean, yeah, we couldn't have been talking about that at a better time. And even when we were discussing it, before the Corona crash, it was already starting to dip. So I think there's a lot there. But speaking of another one, you and I have talked a little bit about the House of the Mouse. People have been tossing around Disney. You emailed me about that. What are your thoughts on that? You think Mickey's going down?
If Mickey's ever going to go down, this is his chance. The poor guy, American icon, and maybe it's fitting that the American icon is dying at the same time we're having some of these larger discussions about politics and the fate of America. But for Disney, I hate the word perfect storm, or the phrase perfect storm. But for Disney, this is it. The movies are in trouble. Sports are in trouble. They own ESPN. The cruise lines, so there's a ton going against it. Probably the only thing it has going for it right now is Disney Plus, people streaming and that sort of thing. But I mean, that's no surefire winner by any stretch. And to keep that up. So Disney, we talk a lot about the Altman Z indicator. That's going to be, I think it's a really hot term. It's going to be a hot term in my world right now is, looking at that. So I think if we took real quick, the Altman Z is basically a mathematical formula that lets us get put a number to a company's bankruptcy risk. Anything below 1.8 is considered high risk for bankruptcy. Anything above that, you can get all the way up to 6, and I think it goes up to 8. Is much stronger. And so going into this, the market, the S&P Global is at like 6.8, I think, pretty strong, 6.7. So very, very low risk of major bankruptcies. But if we start, and what the Altman Z looks at is a company's, basically short-term assets over its total assets, cash flow. I think it's 5 different indicators that go into this. It's a pretty simple formula, and it spits out this number. So right now, it's not really all that useful until we start getting some quarterly looks into the different books and seeing what this does to cash flow and profits and that sort of thing. But Altman Z's can be a great way to look at companies like Disney, like Boeing, to see where they have. And they just don't have the short-term they don't have the short-term cash flow or the cash stockpile they need. A company like Apple took a ton of heat for really building up its stockpile of cash because it didn't want to bring it back to the States and pay tax on it. But now they have that, and we hear, Disney just, went out and took a huge loan the other day just to keep up with its current needs. That's critical. What's next? Everybody's tapping out their revolving credit facilities, but what happens when they tap that out and they have to go to the bank, with their hat in hand and say, hey, we need more. So 2 months, 6 months out, that's when we're going to see some bigger problems. So bankruptcies in the short term, it's just like we saw in 2008, right when things really started to go bad outside the banks. We didn't hear a whole lot of bankruptcies, but then it started to trickle down, and that's where it's going to come. It's going to, mom and pop are unfortunately going to feel it first. The farmers are going to feel it first. Once we see those guys, they're closing shop. My wife and I have our flower farm, one of the biggest, in Holland. They just threw out a ton of tulips right in the middle of the season. Big auction houses just had to dump all this stuff because they had nowhere to take it. In California, one of the biggest rose growers, fortunately they came back and they said they were going to close for good. Now it's just an indefinite closure because they don't have the cash flows. If they're not selling things day to day, they don't have the cash to keep up with their debt and everything that keeps an American business growing right now, healthcare, everything. So we're going to see those guys start to fail. Their employees are going to go out of business, and that's where we're going to go short on funding. Then it's going to snowball from there. So 6 months out, that's where we're going to see these big boys start to have problems. So watch mom and pop. You'll see it in the headlines, but bankruptcies are coming on a large scale, and so that's why I pulled up that chart of the S&P 500. I don't think everything is going to be a buy. I've been using the mantra when that indicator hits, buy like hell, but we can't buy everything. You go back to my notes from 2008, 2009. There were plenty of companies that would have, you could have made a fortune selling short and playing the downside on.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how long the quarantine or social distancing goes on, and how as it goes on, we have to redefine what constitutes an essential business. Right now most states have deemed that liquor and marijuana are essential businesses. Which I guess is great news if you're stuck at home with nothing to do, but it's surely going to affect all of these different groups. I'm debating right now what's better for my family, whether I should just like run and pop into the grocery store at an off time or place an Amazon delivery. You got Amazon warehouses now have cases of coronavirus in them, and so it's just a very interesting time to see how this is affecting business and what that's going to do. I think people are going to still order from Amazon without issue, because what else are they going to do? But it's going to leave a mark on a lot of these companies in surprising and unexpected industries.
Yeah, I think, I guess to kind of wrap it up, I think this is a great wake-up call for America. We're learning that our rights are vulnerable. We're learning our food supplies are vulnerable. We're learning our markets are vulnerable, and take this as an opportunity to shore up all those things. If you didn't shore up your financial world over the last, during the big bull market, do it now. This is your chance. If you don't have a pantry full of food and 3 months, 6 months supply, don't do it now. But as soon as the toilet paper gets back in stock, go out and buy some canned foods and fill that pantry up. And then, think about your constitutional rights and everything involved with it. We wrote about it this morning. It's a huge, huge topic. This is going to be a big wake-up call. I'm hesitant to say I'm excited about it, but I think it's good. People are talking to their neighbors again. They're realizing the value of community. They're starting to garden again. I've said it all. I think it could be good if we get through this quickly. If businesses come back when the timing is right, when people are healthy, I think this could be good for America. But it's on all of us to make sure that it is.